With the recent finale of FGO's second part and Enfield releasing soon, these two characters have been more relevant than they've been for a long time, and for good reason too. Not to mention the two of them have some narrative parallels in their lore and how they went about things. And that's the reason why I wanted to do this video in the first place, to pit these two very similar yet different characters together, and see who ends up on top. Now, I know this isn't a popular matchup or hell, not even a niche one, but I do think it's interesting to think about. Before we start analyzing, it's important to know what versions of each character we're gonna be using, as well as the specific circumstances. For starters, I'll be equalizing their stats to a relativistic degree, since scales from both sides are very inconsistent and are inversely chain scaly, ranging from solar system level to multiversal. Plus, it would be way more interesting to put them together with their abilities at the forefront. As for which version, I'll be using the current Priestess up against specifically the Lost Belt version of Goetia, otherwise known as the Chaldean or simply Lev. Spoilers for both series ahead. Priestess is a scientist from the previous era in Arknights with a connection to the Doctor, with the two researching and exploring the universe, as well as creating what we would know to be Calcit at the time period. At some point at the end of that era, they managed to create Originium, with her being considered as one of its creators. Then soon after, preserved her consciousness within Originium's assimilated universe. The assimilated universe itself is described as an abstract space within Originium, which contains and manifests all the information it has assimilated, divorced from space and time while obeying its own set of laws. As one of the creators of Originium, Priestess has an authority over the assimilated universe, capable of freely manipulating its properties and even merging with the universe itself. Fast forward far into the future, we can see the implications of this take shape, as she seemingly is able to manifest and dissipate a catastrophe at whim, which leads to the Doctor questioning if she has full control over Originium. But unfortunately for her, Calcit confirms that this is limited control, and not absolute. But even then, it still is extremely potent to the point where without further interference, Theresa's monster and even Amia weren't able to physically harm her, and only with additional assistance from Civilite Eterna, they could be able to do themselves. Following this event and now in Laterano, Priestess seemingly traps Monster and the Doctor in a stasis-like dimension, and during an exchange within this chamber, the Doctor correctly infers that Priestess has lost even more control over Originium after the prior events. Originally known as the Chaldean, he officially adopted the name Romani Arkaman during Lost Belt 7, and is someone claiming to be affiliated with Chaldea's security organization. Throughout the events of FGO's second part, he travels through Lost Belts to assist its inhabitants, all the while claiming Romani's identity. His true identity is Lev Liner Floros, the last survivor of the 72 demon gods of Goetia, during the events of the Temple of Time. However, unlike the other demons, instead of admitting defeat, he was unable to come to terms with his termination due to his friendship with Romani Arkaman, and chose the path to destroy the previous Chaldea's legacy, as a sign of respect and regret. During the events of the final chapter prologue, he transforms into the Grandcaster Pseudepigrapha Solomon, where he is stated to have the same Saint Graph output as a Grand Servant, and during which he is capable of summoning another Grand Servant, being Grand Saber Logres, to find alongside him. In the fight against Marius Chaldeas, he is able to use the noble phantasm Ars Nova to get rid of the remnants of Solomon and Goetia, so that they could fight against Beast 7 as they did with Beast 1 before. As a remnant of Beast 1, while only being a 72nd percentage of their original Saint Graph, it is still able to be considered on par with that being a Grand, as he was able to summon a Grand Saber himself, as well as being capable enough to recreate a bounded field equal to the Age of Gods rune Magecraft, and being perceived as a threat in Kersastria Wodheim's eyes, who himself at the time is equal to Lost Belt King Zeus. Now, I'm not Death Battle or Goji Center, but I'll do my best to give a clear idea as to what's going to happen in an encounter between these two. With that being said, the stage is set, and it's time for the god who heralds from the past to encounter the demon who looks forward into the future. Laterano, after the incident with Sanctasla, emerges Lev Goetia, thinking he wandered into another Lost Belt or Ordeal Call. He observes the area and notices it's different, too different. But before he acts on anything, he is immediately transported into a stasis-like dimension. Unbeknownst to him, the moment he entered this world, he was immediately noticed by Priestess, and she perceived him as a threat. As they come face to face with each other, their intent becomes clear to both of them. Immediately, Lev Goetia launches a surge of magical energy. Priestess blocks it, but Lev keeps on with his assault. Lev wonders why he couldn't fully damage her, and tries using different magecraft in his arsenal, but still to no avail. Seeing his confusion, Priestess hums to herself as to who this being in front of her is, and thinks of assimilating them. But her line of thought is cut short, as Lev decides to kick things up a notch, and incant much larger scale magecraft, such as torrential winds, mini eruptions, and even more blasts of magical energy. Priestess then notices the gradual surge of power right in front of her, and counters by summoning a catastrophe, and having Originium grow rapidly in the surrounding area around Lev. The attack proves to be quite difficult to him, as he seems to struggle in mitigating the damage caused by this large-scale catastrophe, and that is when he decides to take things seriously now. With a surge of magical energy, he transforms into Pseudepigrapha Solomon and clears the catastrophe and the surrounding Originium in a single incantation. Priestess is alarmed by this, and without hesitation, transports both of them into the assimilated universe. As both of them enter and stare down at each other once again, Priestess notes that it is strange. He isn't being assimilated, and asks if he's even a living person. Lev neither confirms nor denies it, and instead asks what Priestess' goals are. After a debate on both of their ideals, both have come to a conclusion that the other must be eliminated, as they are an antithesis to one another. As one shares the new ideals of her beloved Oracle, and the other has the same goals as the beast he seeks to defeat. Unfortunately for Lev, the space that they are in is beyond his control and authority. He cannot truly defeat her here without additional interference, and both of them know this. But as it seems to be a surefire victory for the Priestess, she feels something. A unique energy being emitted from the person, no, the beast in front of her. And in that moment, Lev Goetia unleashes the noble phantasm, Ars Paulina. Priestess finds herself in an unfamiliar space, her connection with the assimilated universe seemingly severed, and as this god of her own making looks up, she locks eyes with the demon. With the deployment of Ars Almadel Salomonis, the reality marble fades, returning Lev back to Lateran, as he sees the people inhabiting this land share precious moments with each other, before being offered some sugar-free ice cream from a young girl, and for a brief moment, the beast smiles. Winner, Lev Goetia.